he's graded out pretty decently. So I think it's really great that we got him up to speed. And obviously Bullard, I'm glad that, I mean, even before Poole left the program, it looked like through camp that he was taking that spot by the horn. So we're doing a really good job at Star, in my opinion.
I would agree with that 100%. And I think one thing that was a little noticeable for Georgia against Oregon was that they struggled at times with playing some of these screens and underneath type throws, like little mesh routes and stuff. And that's improved greatly the last couple of weeks versus both Samford and South Carolina. And both Bullard and Tyke Smith have been a big reason why. Those guys are very good at fighting off blocks and play recognition.
And one thing I would also add is that's freed up Starks to not have to play that. I know there was reports that he was repping at Star in camp, but as everybody can tell on the spaces, I mean, it's been a blessing to have him at safety and not Star. It's freed it up to have some more flexibility on the defense.
Absolutely.
Hey, Greg,
it looks like Monroe is actually.
Oh.
Yeah, go ahead, Josh.
I was going to say, I just dropped a link to that play with Bullard. It's clip 29, so if anybody's interested in actually seeing that play that we broke down, it's in the comments. But if Monroe's here, I'm going to mute and can't wait to listen to it.
Sounds good. I'm going to invite him to speak. Monroe, if you can hear me, just jump in whenever you're ready. If you're not ready yet, we'll just keep chatting. I think Dustin told you 7:15 or so.
Do you have any other listener questions?
I do not. But I guess we should go ahead. We did have some people tweet at us off, not on the forum, but they would like to get Jason or your take on kind of some of the news around Julian Sand over the last 24 hours and maybe what's going on there. I'm happy to weigh in as well.
Yeah, I'll make sure we ask that first. It looks like we got Monroe on the line.
Oh, cool. Okay.
So we're good to go with him.
Perfect. Monroe, whenever you want to unmute, we'll start firing questions your way.
Yep. What's up?
Not much, man. Thanks for joining us. How are you doing this evening?
Doing pretty good. Gotta say.
Awesome. So I got it. All right. Like, first and foremost, I have to ask about your commitment ceremony because it was one of the better ones I've ever seen with the American flag and just the amount of enthusiasm. Kind of, where did that idea come from? And, how was it going through it?
I mean, I didn't really want to do the little, I kind of want to do the hats, but, it kind of just felt a little generic. And, I wanted to keep it, normal, I guess, without, going a little over the top. So that's just kind of where we came up with the flag idea.
Awesome. How is your high school season going so far?
It's actually going better than I thought. I mean, we don't have a lot of depth on our team, but besides that, we're doing really good. We got a big game tomorrow against, I think, 5A, which is the biggest division in South Carolina. I think they're number 5 in 5A or something like that. So for us, it'll just be probably the biggest game that we'll play this season.
Well, good luck to you in that one. Obviously you're the number 1 player in South Carolina this cycle. Georgia played at South Carolina last weekend. I'm sure that you're following along with UGA's season.
Yeah.
Anyways, but was that one you were paying a little extra special attention to?
I had a feeling that they were going to blow them out. I mean, my older brother actually goes to South Carolina, and he was even saying that apparently they're planning, parties like before the game was even started because they all knew they're going to be blown out at halftime. So I thought that was kind of funny, not going to lie.
Well, at least they had some plans when they emptied out there with about 5 minutes to go in the second quarter.
All right.
It's better to be realistic, I suppose. So, I mean, what was it about UGA for you? Because I know there was a lot of great schools that were hard after you. I think you were being recruited pretty hard by Clemson there in your home state. What swung it Georgia's way in the end?
I mean, at the end of the day, the last visit I went on, which is like I think late July, probably like during that little like period that you could go on visits. That last visit kind of gave me all the confirmation I needed because it really just they checked all my boxes and there wasn't really a point of me, holding back because I initially wanted to take my decision into the season, but then when I went on my visit to Georgia, then I was just like, wait, I mean, like there's not really a point. I feel like they check all my boxes. I'm competing at the highest level pretty much. I mean, not pretty much. It is the highest level. I mean, the defensive lineman I'll be going against every single day will just make me way better. And also, Coach Searles, he was recruiting me at North Carolina, and he just carried the loyalty, and the recruitment actually picked up a lot more as soon as you get to Georgia. And also, I mean, it's an SEC school. I mean, there really isn't anything like the SEC. I mean, I went on a couple visits to some schools in other conferences, and it's just not really anything like SEC football.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, I mean, with Coach Searles kind of getting hired a little bit, later in the year, like, I feel like he's a guy that Georgia fans know. He has an incredible resume and has been a part of a lot of great teams, but maybe don't know as much about his personality. What's he like to interact with? What's your relationship like with him?
he's a funny guy. I gotta say. I mean, I love him. He's just like, he'll be that guy off the field, but from what I've heard from most of the players, he'll coach you hard. I mean, that's pretty much the best combo you can get as a coach is that they'll coach you real hard on the field, but they're gonna be like, I mean, I don't know how to explain it, but like, I mean, a friend off the field,
Sure.
I mean, every time he's always cracking jokes. Before I committed there, every time we get on the phone, he's like, "All right, when are you committing out here? Like, when are you committing?" It's like every time, just cracking those jokes. Really enthusiastic personality. Nah, I mean, that's pretty much the basics.
No, that's awesome, man.
Hey, Monroe, this is Josh. I'm one of the guys at Dawgs Central. Thanks for joining us. You talked about some of the boxes that Georgia checked. I don't know if there's anything specifically, but you also talked about the D lineman you're going to be going up against. Is there anybody in this cycle or anybody you've kind of got really excited to line up against you maybe next year as a freshman or anything like that? Any specific players that you're looking to get up against?
I know Judge. He's like I think he's a D tackle. I mean, I'm probably not going to be going against defensive tackles, but I'm pretty sure Samuel Mpemba, I think that's his name, he's going to be probably coming into Georgia. I mean, there's not a reason not to, and I think he'll probably be playing like edge and probably just a really versatile athlete. But I mean, I'm just ready to compete against anybody really, so I'm ready.
Awesome. John, Jason, Dustin, you guys want to jump in here?
Monroe, hey, thanks for joining us, buddy. We're excited to have you at Georgia. Tell me a little bit about, you were on at least per the 24/7 site, the number one rated player in South Carolina. How does that, play into the way you feel about your recruitment? Do you take those kind of things seriously, or how do you think about those types of things in a process like this?
Like, do you mean like the rankings and all
Yeah,
that?
yeah. Like, is that something? I mean, I know obviously, y'all take pride in kind of where you fall in those rankings. But when you're the number one player in the state, does that put a little bit of more pressure, or is it just something that you just comes with the territory? How do you think about that as a player?
I mean, as a player, there's always that chip on your shoulder that you can't really go out there and slack. Like every single play, you're gonna have to give it your all. I mean, the rankings to me never really meant much. I mean, I look at them and they're like, I mean, rivals, I guess. They put me at like 111 or something. And I'm like, I mean, that's fine. That's not really affecting me. I guess it just means I got to work harder in a way. But, you know, as a player, it just doesn't really bother me very much. I mean, it's just kind of fun to look at every once in a while, see if, they're catching on to your hard work, I guess.
Love it.
That makes sense. Do you feel are you a guy that went to a lot of camps, and like do you feel like the ranking system is sometimes weighted like too much on measurables and not enough on just actual game tape, or kind of what's your opinion of the whole process, or if you have one?
I think that some of it is a little bit biased. I think that sometimes when you go to those camps, they're the guy who they wanted like to pick out for those MVPs before you even go to the camp. And sometimes I think the rankings again have to do with the amount of hype you have and how much you're really promoting yourself. Um, that's that's the best way I can put it. There's some other things, but I always thought that since I wasn't 300 pounds and I wasn't the NFL ready weight, that they kind of took that into account to my rankings.
Yeah, so like it seems like Georgia, especially under Todd Monken, and then now even more so with Coach Searles showing up in town, like lots of kind of pull heavy schemes, trying to get these linemen downfield more, getting to the second level and blocking linebackers and safeties. Is that the type of, was that kind of part of your desire to go to UGA, was to play in that type of system? Is that something that sounds fun to you?
I mean, yeah, I love using the athleticism. So like I think that was Coach Phil's biggest thing about me is that like I was an athlete, and that's just why he recruited me so hard, is that they really fit into all of his schemes. And I mean, I being an athlete is the best part. I mean, you can always get down and run wedge every play, but if you got athletes that can move up the field, I'd use those athletes.
Yeah, it seems like Georgia's doing a lot of that right now. So I think you're going to fit in well. Do you play any other sports or just football?
Oh no, I mean, probably won't be playing basketball this year, but I was a basketball player. I started playing. I played freshman, sophomore, and junior year. Played basketball, so that was kind of my break from football, and also keeping me an athlete in the off season.
Nice. What position did you play in basketball?
I mean, center, because there's
Because of
not a
the height.
lot. Yeah, I mean, we had some tall people on our team, but I was just kind of probably 6'8" with basketball shoes on, so that kind of made me only have one role.
Down there dominating the glass, bumping poor kids around.
Yeah, I don't know if you've seen my clips of me, throwing down on the hoop. I think I have a couple on my Twitter page.
I've seen it.
Oh, I gotta
I've
check
seen
this
it.
out.
Yeah, I've seen it. I love it, man.
Monroe,
Playing up other.
Monroe, you've mentioned Coach Searles a lot, and I think it was Jason in one of our spaces when we were hoping you would commit to Georgia, talking about if you committed to Georgia, that it was almost 100% Coach Searles that put you on the radar and put UGA on your radar. Is that an accurate statement that really Georgia, and Searles was as very, very, how important was that in your recruitment, and how much was UGA on the radar before Coach Searles came on into the program earlier this year?
I mean, they definitely they were on the radar always. I mean, I went up there before Coach Rose got the job a couple times actually, but I think that the recruitment really wasn't that hard because I think Coach Matt Luke knew he was on his way out, and also they had the little national championship run. But when Coach Rose did get the job, that's when the recruitment actually picked up, and I also just started weighing out everything because, I mean, at first I didn't think that. I like Georgia just because I didn't really get time to sit down and actually talk to Coach Smart and learn what Georgia's about. But then I actually got the chance to do that, and that kind of flipped my whole perspective, and kind of led me to the place I am now, where I'm committed.
Yeah, so the question I had, we had Joshua Miller on last week, and I asked him about Eddie Gordon and his relationship. A lot of recruits really rave on him. What's been your relationship with Eddie Gordon?
I mean, he kind of recruited me day one. I think he might have actually been the one who offered me back in my sophomore year. I think, yeah, sophomore year before I think beginning of the season. He was the one who initially offered me, and he stayed loyal all throughout. And yeah, he was also a pretty big person. My decision, just the loyalty.
And another thing we got to ask you on your playlist before the game, what's your top 3 artists that you like?
Oh, that's a hot question. I mean, really, I'm just kind of going everywhere right now. I mean, on occasion, sometimes I'll be listening to some Jimi Hendrix before the game. I'll be listening to some, Key Glock and Dolph, Lil Baby, all those guys. I mean, I don't really have a top 3. I just kind of, where I'm feeling at the moment and where I'm feeling before the game. That's just kind of who I'm listening to.
Definitely. And then the last question I have for you, I know Athens, the downtown area, is a good pulling point to recruits. What's been your favorite place or place to eat out with you and your family when you come to town?
I mean, I've only really been up to Athens and actually explored a couple times, but I think we went on my unofficial. I think I went to Chuck's. That was a really good place, and I mean, I'm I keep on forgetting that I got a whole lot of food options to find out and go to my go-to places. I'm excited for that. I'm not gonna lie.
Chuck's is a
Keeping the
great
mystery
choice.
there.
Hopefully, NIL, you don't have to pay for a meal in Athens. Hopefully, it doesn't happen much.
Well, if you see any of us around, you want to pay for a meal anyway. Chuck's great choice. Hey, so Monroe, obviously, coming to Georgia, playing ball is the reason, but there's also the academic side of it. Have you thought about what you're going to major in? Have you thought about what you're interested in studying?
I mean, I kind of broke it down. I initially thought I wanted to do engineering, but I think that it's a little taxing, to be a football player and also doing engineering. But I kind of wanted to still keep the math background because, that's just kind of what I'm good at. And I just kind of flow through math. So I kind of broke it down to just go into computer science. And I think that's, the way of the future. I mean, there's a whole lot of jobs in computer science that you can get in. And I mean, I'm pretty decent with computers too.
That's a very, very good choice, man. That's a cool answer. So, all right, I know we just asked you about the food in Athens, but you're from the coast over there in the Charleston area. Like, what's the favorite? What's the go-to seafood? And
Mount Pleasant.
Okay, yeah, I gotta say, Charleston's got way better seafood than Athens. I gotta say, I don't remember what restaurant I went to.
You're right about that. You were
no
argument. I went to
here.
the restaurant and they said the shrimp is really good. I tried the shrimp and I was like this is what good shrimp tastes like in Athens. One complaint I had, I gotta say, the shrimp down here is kind of unmatched, and I kind of realized that. And the more visits I go on, and they got shrimp there, but go to seafood spots. I mean, anywhere down in Shem Creek, you're gonna get great seafood. Even just some of the local restaurants that aren't really, seafood restaurants that have seafood, you're gonna get really good seafood at. So, I mean, you could go anywhere down there, and you're gonna get some great seafood.
Yeah, Monroe, I grew up on the coast of North Carolina and went to UGA, and I can just go ahead and tell you now, buddy, just, get your seafod fill in when you get home and save
get some
Athens for other
with
stuff.
me.
yeah, have mom pack you to some to-go boxes.
They don't have much shrimp. They don't have much shrimp in Lake Oconee, unfortunately. A little far from the ocean.
So what do you like to do when you're not playing football? I mean, I know you guys in this day and age, like I know you're probably working out almost every day, and I know that football is a huge consumer of your time. But what do you like to do for fun, man?
I mean, a lot of times I get back and I'm just kind of exhausted, I mean, I just, I'm playing some video games just was a little minute ago. And, now in my senior year, I really don't have a lot of classes to attend to. So I just got a lot of free time that I'm not really sure what to do with. So I just kind of started, watching some TV shows and trying to get in some of those. But, Also, when I wasn't playing football, it would be pick up basketball, just hang out with my friends, watching college football. Just kind of all the things a normal teenager would do. But yeah, besides that, that's about that's about all I got.
Right on, man. Are you planning to enroll early at Georgia or come in for next fall semester?
I mean, I'm still on the cusp right now. I mean, I think that probably the more I get into my senior year, the more I realize I don't want to be in high school anymore. So we're still gonna see, but right now it's probably looking that I will enroll early, but it could change.
Awesome, man. Jason, you got any questions for this gentleman?
Yeah, sorry, my sound's been going in and out. So if you guys already asked this, and tell me to shut up. How much UGA have you watched, and if you have watched enough, looking at the offense, what do you think about it? Them slinging the ball around a little more?
I think that, honestly, gotta say, when I'm playing high school ball and we're just running down the field nonstop, it gets a little tiring. Gotta say. So, I mean, I pass blocking is kind of what my build is really about. I mean, I got the really long arms, and I think that um, it's like how do I explain it? I don't know. I don't know how to explain what doing one-on-ones are like, and it's just like the part of the game that makes offensive line worth it. If that makes sense. It
Yeah.
makes the best part about offensive line is because then you have that little
You,
competition to go against every single play.
yeah, you get in there close and you have to use that leverage, right? It's
Yeah,
a pretty
there's
fun.
a lot of like technical skills to it, other than just driving them off the ball and moving them.
Yeah, and listen, like I played inside there, and so you definitely, if you can keep from running up and down the field too much. I like driving the guy like I'm driving the sled as much as anybody, but don't want to do that every play. So that's awesome.
Exactly.
Right on, man. I'm about tapped out, but do any of you other guys have questions for Monroe before we let you go?
Nah, man, Monroe, this has been great. I appreciate the time and your answers are really thoughtful and exciting. I love the energy. I can't wait to see you wearing the silver breeches and the home reds next year, man.
Yes, sir. Me too.
Yeah, 100%, man. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. It's fun to get a little better idea of who you are. I know a lot of the people listening, and we're going to be covering you for the next few years, and it's fun to know a little more about your personality. So thanks for opening up and taking some time to chat with us, man.
Hey, Monroe, before you leave, we will have audio. Will you let everybody know your socials so we can follow you on those?
Oh, it's for I think Twitter. I think you guys probably got that. Instagram is Monroe _Freeling. Just my that, and I think I have a TikTok, and I think it's the same thing as my Instagram. If you want to follow me, I don't know if any of you guys are actually on TikTok. It seems like a Gen Z thing, but whatever you guys feel. Yeah, I think that's it for my socials.
Come on, man. We're not that old. No, I'm just kidding with you. Yeah, we are. We are that old. All right, Monroe. Well, hey, thanks for the time again, and good luck to you the rest of the season. We'll be following along and looking forward to see you in Athens next year, man.
Yes, sir. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. All right, that was awesome. That was Monroe Freeling, the #1 high school prospect in South Carolina and future Georgia Bulldog. Lots of fun chatting with him tonight. I don't think we have a ton of subscriber questions, but if you guys want to jump in here and share some thoughts or ask any questions of the team, just go ahead and request to speak, and we'll add you in. Dustin, John, all you guys, did you have any topics that thought we should bring up, or any thoughts on Kent State this weekend?
Yeah, I would say you can go back to your what's top of mind. If Jason's got the speaker ready, go on the saying topic since that was brought up.
Yeah, cool. Okay, Jason, I just added you back in as a speaker, but we had a question about the Julian Sand to LSU prediction that was put in by On3, I believe, today. Just kind of folks wondering what the story is on UGA's quarterback recruiting for 2024.
Yeah, I think what you're going to see is I mean, obviously Chad Simmons, it's like I posted on the board. I mean, he's one of the best in the business, and I mean, 99.9% of the time knows what he's talking about. And so I think what you're going to see is I think you're going to see UGA focus on Jaden Davis and the Connecticut kid, Ryan Puglisi. I think you want to look that way for one of those two. And I mean, obviously it's early for 2024, even for 2024 quarterbacks that want to maybe get in early on the class. But I mean, anything can happen. He could still visit LSU and UGA and maybe decide in October like he's been planning, or put it. I mean, anything could happen, especially with 2024 guys. But I mean, like literally, if it were right now, like from what I've been told, like I wouldn't feel confident enough putting in a prediction for LSU yet. But I mean, if somebody put a gun in my head, then I would say LSU. I think they've been going super, super hard after him.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we've gotten the chance to know Julian a little bit, and obviously, great person, comes from a great family. Like I know that he is, at least at this moment, prior to visiting LSU this weekend, still planning on trying to get to Georgia this season, likely for the Tennessee game. So I don't think anything is over yet. It's tough, and I think, I don't know, sometimes with quarterback recruitment, everything is just under that microscope, and it's quite possible that there's just different amounts of communication going on, or things fall off and pick up. So I'm with you, Jason. Whereas I wouldn't put a prediction in yet at this point by any stretch, but it'll definitely be interesting to watch. I am going to add. We got a request from Tiger Hunting Cowboy here to jump in and speak. So I'm adding you, and fire away. Just unmute yourself, and whenever you want to chat, go right for it. At Kirby is Elite, you are on. You've been added as a speaker.
Hey, sorry. Well, I was actually going to say something to Monroe, but he's off. I was going to give him a seafood tip on his way home to Charleston. But
well, you can still give it. We have other folks listening. We're recording it, so we can get it to.
Well, if you've never had Reinhardt's in Augusta, it's right off 20. I highly recommend. They have the best jambalaya you're ever going to find, probably east of Louisiana.
Can confirm.
All right. Well, that's
amazing.
That's a hot tip for everybody.
Yes, sir. They got good shrimp too, but man, their jambalaya is out of this world good.
Dang. All right. That's good to know, man. I got family in Augusta.
That's a good stop off point going to Columbia in 2 years, or a basketball game or whatever. Oysters, jambalaya, cold beer, it's solid. Very good spot.
Right on. Well, thanks for the tip, man.
No problem, brother.
Yeah. Any thoughts that you want to share on the Dogs, or any questions you have for any of these guys before we let you go?
Well, I mean, there's not a lot to say. Obviously, we've been pretty dadgum dominant. Ain't a whole lot that can be said that hadn't already been said, right? I guess maybe a question might be, with 2023 recruiting, there's not a lot of top 150 of players out there that aren't committed. I suspect there's probably going to be some decommitments, and I think some guys Georgia will get in on them. We always know Kirby's pretty money for getting a surprise commit or two on the early signing day. But I guess, do you guys got any leads on any guys that maybe are committed elsewhere that we need to be keeping an eye out on?
Yeah, I'll start on this. Me and Jason, we talked earlier today about a few things. I think with the way things are shaping up on the defensive front seven and the guys we're looking at, without mentioning all the names, a lot of these guys are going to take it to December. I will say probably the way things are and the way our numbers are looking, you probably want to wait 2 weeks before signing day, but, I think it's going to be Flip City, probably at least 2 or 3 people, but it'd be really, really hard for any of us to tell you the exact names of who's going to do it. Wide receivers and, a lot of the defensive front sevens, they're not committed. So, those won't be flips, but wide receiver, I would not be surprised if that happens, or a running back or stuff like that. But the way it's setting up, as long as we keep looking as dominant as we are, I think we'll be able to kind of pick a few of these guys off at the end. Jason kind of could expand a little bit more on that.
Man, Dustin just didn't want to drop any names. Look.
I've already tweeted a few, so feel free.
It's 2023, baby. Let's go. Look out for Roger Robinson, UCLA running back commit. I've been told that even after his Texas A&M visit and not visiting Georgia yet, that Georgia looks the best for him. I would be surprised if he goes to UCLA. He's committed to UCLA, but I'd be very surprised if he goes there, because he's seen the difference in UCLA stadium on game day and the SEC stadium on game day.
You mean one stadium has people in it and the other one doesn't?
Exactly. And so, Dylan Edwards, speedster, committed to Notre Dame. He's one to keep an eye on. He's a running back, especially if Notre Dame keeps or not keeps, but especially if Notre Dame gets Jeremiah Love. They're kind of a similar player. Love's listed as an athlete, but him and Edwards are kind of similar players. So if they get Love, that's basically the exact same running back. So I would look for Edwards there. I would look for Hakeem Williams, no matter where he commits tomorrow. His will go till December. Let's see, where else we're at. I think we'll be set on the offensive line before then. We're definitely set at linebacker. I think there's going to be, and I'm not ready to put a name out there yet, but I think there's going to be a 2023 quarterback clip, maybe 2. And I think UGA might be involved in that. So I'm trying to get more on that before I really say anything about anybody. But
well,
there it is.
I'll throw a couple out that I tweeted like 2 weeks ago. So, and I know that Jason and I have talked about these names as well, but DeAndre Moore, he's committed to Louisville right now. Was once a 5-star, now a 4-star wide receiver. I believe he's visiting Texas A&M this weekend, but Texas A&M is where elite wide receiver talent goes to die. So I doubt he ends up there. His former high school coach is now on UGA's staff. So keep an eye on him, and also keep an eye on his high school teammate, defensive back Aaron Williams. I think there's a chance he might visit in October, but I also think that kind of depends on how things will shake out with guys like Chris Peel and, some of the other defensive backs, cornerbacks that Georgia's been in on for a longer period of time. But, I think, and obviously Robinson as well. That name continues to be thrown around a lot. I know Jason already mentioned him, obviously. But, I think you are going to, every year Kirby has some of those flips. I mean, this time last year, Michael Williams was committed to USC. And I think, Louisville's a program that's struggling right now a lot. I don't know how much longer Scott Satterfield's going to have a job. They do have a lot of good players committed, so that's a school to kind of keep an eye on, some of their recruits, as well as, just kind of other programs. If you get towards October or November and it looks like coaches are going to get fired, which always happens, that can always throw some big names back into the pot.
And I also think Chris Peel will link you to some of the Davis, the 2024 Jaden Davis recruitment. I know they're really good friends. That will tip you to that. And then the other name I would mention on wide receiver, if they can fit it in, is Demetrius Bell. He visited last home game. He's a wide receiver / athlete out of Tennessee. He's probably a top 150 player in the nation. So that would be other two names I'd drop.
Right on. Well, does anyone else have questions? If anyone else wants to jump in here, you got about 30 seconds to do it.
We're gonna give score. We're gonna give quick score predictions for Kent State. End on that.
We can.
Hey, real quick before we do that, just because we're on the recruiting train, a few weeks ago, and this is something we hadn't put out yet just because we don't like putting guys' personal information out, but a few weeks ago, at least a few weeks ago, Graham asked me about Pierce Berlin having surgery and possibly missing the season, and so he can tell you more about that. But Pierce Berlin did have shoulder surgery. He's missed the first 3 games of his season, and he's at least missing couple 2, 3, 4 more weeks, and I'm not sure on missing the season yet. But if Graham wants to jump in on that now, since that's out, he texted me about this probably a month ago at least.
Yeah, that was one that I kind of heard whispers of a little bit, but yeah, Sperlin basically had a shoulder injury, and from what I understand, there was kind of some indecision over whether or not he would play with the injury his senior season and then get it fixed afterwards. I think Georgia was more keen on him getting it fixed now, so he has time to heal, before coming to campus. I don't know if he, like you said, Jason, I'm not sure if he'll miss all of his games or not, but it does sound like he did go ahead and have that surgery. I have no reason to believe that, that changes anything with his status in Georgia's class. I would think if anything, it probably solidifies it even more. But yeah, thanks for mentioning that, Jason. All right, well, let's get some score predictions, guys. What do you guys think happens on Saturday with Kent State?
I think Kent State can move a little bit better than folks give it credit for, but I don't think it's going to matter too much. I have Georgia 42-3 in this one. I don't think the Dogs are going to cover this 46-point line or whatever it is. But I'm going with 42-3.
Yeah, I think I'm in the same ballpark with you. I think Georgia, 48, 52 points, somewhere in that neighborhood. But I am of the opinion that, Kirby, you're going to see a lot of guys rotate. I think Georgia's going to do things that they maybe don't feel like are strengths. I think this is going to be another kind of scrimmage type practice game for them. you might see a less explosive offense than you did on Saturday just by virtue of play calling. But I do think that Dante Cephas, is a very good wide receiver for Kent State, had 1,200 plus yards and 9 touchdowns last year, averaged, 17, 18 yards a catch. Keep an eye on him. He's a good one. I think that this is saying a lot, but I actually think that Kent State might provide a bigger challenge to Georgia's secondary than South Carolina did.
Yeah, I'll just echo kind of what you said with the wide receiver. I'm going to go keep it short and sweet, 45-6. So they get in the red zone a couple of times with Stahl. And I'm kind of with John on the spread being like right around 44. I just think Kirby's going to kind of coast into the SEC play and try to keep people healthy.
What you got for us, Jason?
Well, I'm going against everybody just for the heck of it. We're covering.
What's the score, Jason? Give it to us.
Shoot, 59-6.
Damn. All right.
I like
there
it.
You have it. Guys, John, Jason, Dustin, Josh as well. I was in here. He's gone now. And especially Monroe Freeling, thank you for joining us tonight. And thank you for everyone that listened and jumped in with questions. Always enjoy doing this. Appreciate y'all making it a part of your Thursday evenings. Looks like West Virginia and Virginia Tech have kicked off, as well as the NFL game, and we actually have a decent Thursday night slate of college football tonight. So everybody,
don't forget Georgia State and Coastal Carolina. That's happening now.
I'm on the under, so I will have it on. But yeah, always a blast, always a pleasure, and hope to see you guys this time next week. And if you have not checked us out over at DawgsCentral.com, please do. Site's really blowing up. Appreciate all of you who have subscribed, and lots of unique and interesting content that I can tell you for sure you're just not finding everywhere else. So come give us a check, and hope to see you over at Dawgs Central. Thanks, guys.